If you're thinking about moving to Redding, I can guarantee you probably haven't thought too much about this topic, and that is the cost of utilities. Well, today is your lucky day because we are going to break down some things you should be aware of if living in Redding is on the horizon. Hey there, I'm Faith Barrett, and welcome back to Rooted in Redding, your go-to channel for everything you need to know about living in this beautiful Northern California town. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button as we post weekly content about things you should know about Redding, California. Today, we're tackling a big topic that can affect your budget as you consider making Redding your home, and that is utilities. We're going to dive into the differences between PG&E and Redding Electric Utility, equally known as REU, as your source for electricity. We're going to discuss recent rate hikes and explore why more residents are switching to solar energy. Plus, we're going to look at Redding's water sources and waste options to help you understand how properties can vary in overall maintenance and cost. Now, when it comes to utilities in Redding, you're primarily going to deal with two providers, PG&E, which serves much of California, and REU, which is a locally operated utility company. So let's start with the big name PG&E. Now, PG&E is one of California's largest utility providers, but it's also one of the most expensive. Since 2020, residential electricity rates have been increased by 54%, with the average monthly bill being around $281, and that does cover both gas and electricity. However, this cost can vary significantly depending on the energy efficiency of the home. Homes with poor insulation, older windows, or even just inefficient systems can see much higher bills, especially in the summer. Now, I have had some clients report bills reaching $800 to even over $1,000 for larger homes during those peak months, and it doesn't end there. PG&E has announced additional rate hikes to fund critical projects, including wildfire mitigation efforts, infrastructure upgrades, and to address the rising operational costs. Now, while these improvements are obviously necessary for safety and reliability, the rising costs are just becoming more and more of a major financial burden for many households. If PG&E's cost sounds daunting, you might be relieved to know about Redding Electric Utility, or like I said, REU. As a city-owned provider, REU typically offers lower rates, but even REU isn't immune to rate hikes. REU has announced two rate increases, a 4% increase in January of 2024, adding about $6.75 to the average monthly bill, and another 4% increase in January 2025. Now, while they're still far more affordable than PG&E with an average bill of $146, REU's costs are starting to climb due to inflation, aging infrastructure, and rising wholesale power costs. But here's the good news. REU does offer programs like the Residential Energy Discount Program, which helps lower-income households offset these rising costs. Now, if you are new to our area, a common question you should ask is this home serviced by PG&E or REU? Homes on the outskirts of Redding are typically serviced by PG&E, while properties within city limits are under REU. And then my next follow-up question to the seller is, for anybody curious about the utility provider, is what is the actual average utility cost during the winter and the summer months? A home that is highly efficient may have significantly lower utility bills compared to one that is not so much. So it's really important to factor in the efficiency of the property when evaluating the potential cost. If you live within the city of Redding, your natural gas source will always be PG&E, and it's typically quite affordable. However, for properties outside the city limits that don't have a natural gas connection, your gas source will likely be propane, provided it's available on the property. So what does this mean for you as a potential resident? Well, while PG&E customers pay nearly double the average REU bill, both providers face challenges with rising rates. For many, that's where solar energy comes in. With Redding enjoying about 88% sunny days per year, solar energy is becoming a popular solution. Homeowners who install solar panels can save tens of thousands of dollars over 20 years. Plus, the federal tax credit allows for you to deduct 30% of installation costs from your taxes. There's definitely all kinds of options to having solar on your home, from a lease to a power purchase agreement and even outright owning it. For resale value, own solar or solar that will be owned once the loan is paid off is the best way to go. Also, let's not forget about net metering. Here in Redding, you can earn credits on your utility bill for extra energy your system generates. If you're in a PG&E area, these benefits become even more significant as solar can help offset their higher rates. Now that we've covered electricity, let's talk about another vital resource, which is water. In Redding, you'll encounter a mix of options depending on where you live. So let's break it down. In the city of Redding, you will have access to public water, whereas on the outskirts of Redding, your water source will likely be either a private well or a water district such as Bella Vista. Now, water districts like Bella Vista provide treated and reliable water, but they often come with higher monthly bills. Additionally, during droughts, water districts can impose strict usage restrictions, limiting how much water you can use. If you're in a rural area, a well might save you money in the long run. The advantage of having a well is that it's your private water source with no metering to limit how much you can use. However, a potential downside is the risk of the well running dry, especially during a severe drought. Now, this can be a valid concern for many buyers, but thankfully we haven't been in a drought in many years. To mitigate this risk, it's important to conduct a well inspection before closing on the home, and a thorough inspection will provide valuable information about the depth of the well, gallons per minute production, and water quality, helping you make an informed decision. Now, let's talk about waste. When choosing between a sewer system and a septic system, consider the cost and the maintenance involved. The key difference between a septic system and a sewer system lies in how wastewater is managed. Now, septic systems are private, located on the homeowner's property, and treat wastewater on-site through a septic tank and a leach field, requiring regular maintenance such as pumping every 3 to 5 years. Now, in contrast, sewer systems are public utilities managed by the city, where wastewater flows through underground pipes to a treatment plant. Now, while sewer systems are more convenient and require no homeowner maintenance, they do come with monthly service fees. You will most commonly find sewer systems in the city of Redding, with septic systems on the outskirts in the more rural parts of Redding. Your sewer cost comes with a monthly fee averaging around $30 to $50. Now, septic systems have no monthly fees and offer independence, but they do require regular maintenance such as pumping every 3 to 5 years, which could cost around $300 to $600. And you may need repairs or replacements over time. While sewers offer ease of use, septic systems can save you money in the long run if properly maintained. Your choice will depend on location, budget, and personal preference. Lastly, let's talk about high-speed internet options, because if you're coming from the Bay Area or down south, your options are a little bit different up here. There are a lot of options and not all of them are great, but your 3 providers that stand out are AT&T, Spectrum, and Starlink. AT&T offers the fastest speeds in the area, with fiber service reaching up to 5 gigabytes per second in select locations, though its coverage is limited to about 56.6% of Redding. Spectrum, on the other hand, provides more widespread coverage, available to 80.3% of households, with cable internet speeds up to 1 gigabyte per second and competitive starting prices about $50 per month. This is your most common internet provider if you're going to be in Redding. For those in the areas without reliable wired options, Starlink has become the newest hype, and many are impressed with the capability and opportunity it provides to give high-speed internet in the rural areas where providers like Charter and AT&T don't service. Navigating the utility landscape in Redding can feel really overwhelming, but I hope this breakdown has made things clearer. Whether you're balancing PG&E's higher rates, considering REU's programs, or even exploring solar energy and all the other options we talked about. Now, there's a lot of things to consider when moving here, but I hope you found this video helpful. So be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with anybody considering making the move here. Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of Rooted in Redding, where we not only help you find a home, but a community to thrive in. We'll catch you next week.